I still remember the metallic click, the kind that freezes your blood and traps your breath inside your chest. My father stood at the far end of the living room, his finger tight on the trigger, veins rising against his temple like cords about to snap. The gun wasn't shaking. Mine were. "Sign the papers, Alex." He slammed the stack of documents onto the glass coffee table so hard the edges bent and split. "You think you can keep what doesn't belong to you? You're nothing without us." "Nothing." I swallowed and forced myself to stay upright, even though my knees felt hollow. "It's my property too. Grandpa left it to me. You know that." Before I could finish, my mother's laugh cut through the room like a blade dragged across stone. She leaned in the kitchen doorway, arms crossed, watching like this was her favorite scene in a show she'd waited years to see. "Grandpa left you nothing," she said. "You were an accident, Alex. A mistake we've been cleaning up for decades." Her eyes were empty of warmth. "Sign the papers. Give it to your sister. Maybe we'll let you keep what you're wearing." And then Madison appeared, perfectly timed, as if she'd been listening from the hallway. Silk dress, red nails, phone in hand. Calm, superior. "Oh, don't make this dramatic," she said lightly. "We're correcting an imbalance. You've never been good with money." "I didn't steal anything," I said. Her smile sharpened. "You mean like you didn't steal Grandpa's attention your whole life?" Dad's nostrils flared. The barrel lifted and centered between my eyes. One more word. My pulse roared in my ears. The room felt smaller, tighter, like the walls were inching closer to witness what might happen next. But beneath the fear, something colder surfaced. Something patient. A smile I couldn't stop spread across my face. Dad noticed immediately. "What are you smiling at?" "Because," I said quietly, stepping closer despite the gun, "you think you've cornered me. But you're the one standing near the edge." Silence settled. Heavy. Breathing and tension and years of resentment packed into a single moment. "You're bluffing," Madison said, but her voice lacked certainty. "Am I?" Dad smashed the handle of the gun against the table again. "Sign it. Now." I looked down at the papers. The orchard. The workshop. The house where Grandpa taught me how to sand wood smooth. The creek where he told me that patience was sharper than anger. I picked up the pen. My father's mouth curved upward. My mother leaned forward in satisfaction. I uncapped it. Then I let it fall to the floor. "No." Dad's face darkened. Something unstable flickered behind his eyes. Madison rolled hers. "Just pull the trigger. He's useless anyway." Something inside me shifted permanently at that sentence. "Go ahead," I said, stepping back slowly. "But remember this. Everything you think you control, it's already slipping." I grabbed my bag and walked out before they could respond. I didn't run. I didn't look back. Outside, the air felt sharp and real. My hands trembled, but my mind was clearer than it had ever been. They thought this was about land. It wasn't. That night in my apartment, I lay awake staring at the ceiling while the city hummed below. I replayed every insult, every look, every shove disguised as discipline. I wasn't thinking about revenge. I was thinking about exposure. The next morning, I opened the locked chest Grandpa had given me years before. My parents had dismissed it as sentimental clutter. They'd never cared enough to check. Inside was documentation, notes, receipts, contracts, copies of deeds, and a letter. "Alex, if you're reading this, it means they've shown you who they are. Don't fight with anger. Fight with patience. The truth will defend you if you let it breathe." The property had been placed into a private trust long ago. My name stood alone as beneficiary. But that wasn't the surprise. Buried deeper were transaction records. Transfers from the family company into offshore accounts. Shell corporations tied quietly to Madison's name. Fraud. Tax evasion. Manipulation of zoning changes. Grandpa had documented everything. He hadn't trusted them. And now neither did I. For weeks, I moved quietly. County records. Public filings. Archived permits. I learned every clause connected to the land. I didn't threaten. I didn't argue. I made calls. Anonymous tips. Quiet conversations with people who were already suspicious. A journalist who remembered a favor I'd done years ago. I didn't create lies. I revealed truths. Then I received an invitation to Madison's engagement party. Glossy. Gold embossed. As if nothing was unraveling. I accepted. When I walked into that hall, Conversation slowed. Dad stiffened. Mom whispered something bitter. Madison forced a smile that never reached her eyes. "You shouldn't be here," she muttered. "Oh, I think I should." I let them celebrate. I let them drink and laugh and pose for pictures beneath chandeliers paid for with borrowed time. Days later, the first freeze hit their accounts. Then the investigation requests. Then investors quietly pulling out. It didn't explode at once. It eroded. Like rot finally exposed to air. Phone calls went unanswered. Lawsuits began stacking. Dad called me repeatedly. I declined every time. When I finally visited the house again, the atmosphere had changed. The confidence was gone. "What did you do?" he demanded. "Nothing," I said. "I stopped protecting you." The trust papers hit the table between us. "You tried to force me to give up what was mine," I continued calmly. "But you forgot something." "What?" "I learned it from you." The final unraveling came at Madison's wedding. She insisted on proceeding despite the investigations, desperate to preserve appearance. When the vows began, the venue screens flickered. Not with fabricated lies. With documented transfers, dates, signatures, verified filings already in government hands. Gasps filled the room. Phones recorded everything. Her fiancé stepped away slowly. His parents followed. Madison stood frozen in white silk that suddenly looked fragile. "You ruined me," she whispered when she found me outside later. "No," I replied. "You built this." Permits tied to the land were revoked legally through trust authority. Contracts dissolved. Deals collapsed. The company didn't fall loudly. It imploded inward. Months later, the house went up for sale. The cars disappeared. The social circle vanished faster than the money. But I didn't sell the land. Instead, I restored it. Opened parts of it to the community. Gardens. Walking trails. A workshop for local kids to learn carpentry the way Grandpa taught me. I named it after him. One afternoon, I saw their car slow near the entrance. Dad's hands gripped the wheel. Mom stared at the families walking freely through what they once tried to seize. They looked smaller. Not because I destroyed them. Because the truth reduced them. That night, sitting beneath the oldest tree on the property, I unfolded Grandpa's letter again. Patience is sharper than anger. He was right. They pointed a weapon at me and demanded I surrender. Instead, I stepped back, waited, and let their own choices pull the trigger on everything they had built. And the strangest part, when it was over, I didn't feel powerful. I felt free.